What was the true faith, and why was it hidden? What did the first Christians believe, and why were these beliefs erased? Seeker of lost wisdom and hidden truths, welcome beyond the veil of darkness. Today, we embark on a journey to uncover a story lost in the shadows of time, the vanished sects of Christianity. But why were these sects destroyed? Were they truly heretical, or did they carry a dangerous secret? Among the early Christian communities, there was a far broader spectrum of teachings than the doctrine officially accepted today. However, some sects gradually disappeared, some were exiled, others banned, and some were completely wiped out. But why? Today, we will delve into these forbidden, forgotten, and buried sects, exploring their teachings and the reasons behind their suppression. Perhaps this journey will open a door to one of history's greatest secrets. Prepare yourself, for we are about to unlock it. We will dive deep into these sects and attempt to understand what they truly meant. The early Christian period did not have a belief system that accepted a single truth as we know it today. Numerous sects followed different thoughts and teachings. However, at one time, these teachings were shaped not only by the beliefs accepted by church authorities, but also by alternative ideas. But what happened that caused these different sects to eventually disappear, fade away, and become nothing more than ancient doctrines lost in the darkness of history books? Today, behind some of these lost sects, there may be deep secrets, unexpected power struggles, and perhaps even threatening truths. Among these sects were communities like the Gnostics, Montanists, and Arians. Each offered different perspectives on the core doctrines of Christianity, even forming their own understanding of what was truly right in Christianity. The mysterious teachings of the Gnostics claimed that they possessed special knowledge for spiritual salvation. The Montanists advocated for a more mystical side of Christianity, with claims of prophecy. The Arians held a radical view of the nature of God, yet each of these sects was systematically eradicated. We will explore which powers silenced these sects and tried to erase them from history. Why did these sects disappear? Were they truly heretical, or did they merely threaten the dominance of those in power? Are you ready? Because in the upcoming chapters, we will delve deeper into each sect and uncover the secrets behind their disappearance. Let's first explore why Gnosticism was destroyed, for this lost wisdom was not merely a teaching, but a threat that clashed with the power structures of its time. In the early Christian world, Gnosticism was a widespread movement, while Christianity eventually adopted a single, definitive doctrine. In the beginning, there were many different beliefs, teachings, and paths. The Gnostics argued that spiritual salvation and ultimate truth could only be reached through special, secret knowledge, gnosis. This knowledge was necessary to understand the inner nature of humans, unravel the secrets of the universe, and unite with God. However, these beliefs were not accepted by the church. On the contrary, they were declared heretical. But the disappearance of the Gnostics was not solely due to their teachings being viewed as heretical. There was also a power and control struggle at play. So, why were the Gnostics so severely suppressed by the church? Did they truly pose a threat? The most notable teaching of the Gnostics was the idea that the material world was evil, and that salvation could only be achieved through hidden knowledge. The Gnostics believed that the human soul was superior to the material body and the physical world, and that spiritual freedom could only be attained through gnosis, a special form of knowledge. This was very different from the traditional Christian teachings of the time, which focused on salvation for all people. The Gnostic emphasis on individual knowledge and personal spiritual journeys, posed a direct threat to the religious authorities' monopoly on salvation. The Church viewed these teachings not only as a religious heresy, but also as a political and social threat. The Gnostic belief in individual spiritual paths undermined the Church's universal and organized salvation narrative, which is why they were regarded as a challenge to both religious and societal control. The First Council of Nicaea in 325 AD was a pivotal moment in Christian history. Roman Emperor Constantine convened this council to unify Christian beliefs. During this council, the core doctrines of Christianity were solidified, and many sects within Christianity were declared heretical. The Gnostic sects were deemed contrary to the established teachings and officially rejected. Gnosticism was labeled heretical by the Church Fathers, and sects based on these teachings were completely outlawed. Before the Council of Nicaea, Gnostic sects had significant followers in schools. However, after the council and with the rise of papal authority, Gnostic texts were destroyed and their teachings were prohibited. This not only led to the disappearance of Gnostic doctrines, but also paved the way for the establishment of a more centralized ideological and religious power. In the later sections of the video, we will delve into the lost sect of Arianism in detail. What are your thoughts on this? Was Arianism truly just a religious disagreement, or was there a larger political force behind it? In the 4th century, a major religious division was taking place within the Christian world. These divisions led to the emergence and eventual disappearance of sects like Arianism. Arianism was a belief system proposed by a priest named Arius that challenged the core doctrines of Christianity. But why did Arianism fade away so abruptly? Was it merely a religious dispute, or was it part of a larger ideological and political struggle? Arianism was a teaching formulated by Arius, and it argued that Jesus was not of the same essence as God, but rather a created being. While Arius accepted that Jesus was the Son of God, he did not believe that Jesus was of the same essence as God. According to Arius, Jesus was a created being, separate from God. This belief directly contradicted the central doctrine of Christianity, the doctrine of the Trinity, and the belief in God as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit as one essence. This belief was debated at the Nicene Council and was declared heretical. The council accepted the doctrine of the Trinity, asserting that Jesus and God were of the same essence, thereby officially rejecting Arianism. However, this did not mean that Arianism disappeared. Although it was condemned by the official church view, it continued to exist for a long time, especially among the Germanic tribes. The suppression of Arianism was driven not only by religious differences, but also by a political and social struggle. The Nicene Council of 325 AD was seeking to establish a single authority and enforce uniform teachings in Christianity. Roman Emperor Constantine wanted to achieve unity within Christianity, and in doing so, he sought to enforce a common belief system across the Christian world. Therefore, Arianism was seen not only as a religious difference, but also as a threat to the religious and political unity of the Roman Empire. At this time, the teachings of Arius spread rapidly and had many followers. One reason for this was that these ideas became somewhat popular among certain groups, especially among the Germanic tribes in the western parts of the Roman Empire. Arius' teachings offered a simpler and more logical approach to understanding the nature of God, which appealed to many who were put off by the more abstract and complex nature of the Trinitarian doctrine. However, this doctrine, which threatened the unified religious system of the Roman Empire, was suppressed under Constantine's rule. The Nicene Council not only made a religious declaration, but also took a step to centralize the religious power of Rome. After Arius' teachings were declared heretical, his followers were often punished with charges of heresy, and Arianism was officially banned. Arianism did not disappear entirely. It continued to have a significant influence among the Germanic tribes. While Christianity was officially accepted within the Roman Empire, Arianism persisted in certain regions, particularly among the barbarian tribes in the north. The Goths, Visigoths, Vandals, and other Germanic tribes adopted a belief system close to that of Arius. For these groups, Arianism became a form of social and religious identity. The Visigoths and Vandals, in particular, embraced Arianism as their belief system while overthrowing the Western Roman Empire. These groups rejected the Trinitarian doctrine accepted by the Church and continued to live by the teachings of Arius. However, as the Roman Empire began to recover, especially under the influence of the Eastern Roman Empire, Arianism began to weaken. The disappearance of Arianism was not merely a religious issue. The Roman Empire and the Church engaged in a systematic effort to suppress Arianism because it threatened the central authority of both institutions. Arianism was seen not just as a religious disagreement, but as a challenge to the power structure of the Roman Empire. After the Nicene Council, Arius' teachings were not only banned, but were also actively eradicated. Despite this, Arianism's followers continued to thrive among the various barbarian tribes after the fall of the Roman Empire. However, as the Eastern and Western churches began to unite, the influence of Arianism gradually faded. Arianism was far more than a simple religious difference. The reasons for its rejection by the Church were tied to the desire to maintain religious authority, to secure political unity within the Roman Empire, and to enforce the doctrine of the Trinity. The suppression of Arianism was not merely a matter of religious belief, but was part of a power struggle. While Arianism continued to exist among the Germanic tribes for some time, it eventually disappeared under the increasing power of the Church and the united religious views of the Roman Empire. Understanding why Arianism disappeared helps us to not only solve a religious conflict, but also to gain insight into the power struggles and ideological battles of early Christianity. This sheds light on the war for a unified belief system fought by both the Church and the Roman Empire. We have now completed this in-depth exploration of Arianism's history. In the later sections of the video, we will examine the lost sect of Nestorianism in detail. What are your thoughts on this? Nestorianism was a Christian sect developed by Nestorius, the Patriarch of Constantinople in the 5th century. It argued that Jesus had two distinct natures, one human and one divine, completely separate from each other. However, this doctrine was condemned as heretical at the Council of Ephesus in 431, leading to the exile of Nestorius and his followers. But why did Nestorianism disappear? Was it merely a theological issue, or were there greater political and cultural forces at play? At the heart of Nestorius' teachings was the belief that Jesus' human and divine natures were separate. This contradicted the Church's official doctrine of hypostatic union, which held that Jesus was both fully human and fully divine in a unified nature. Key Nestorian beliefs included: Mary is not the mother of God, while the Church upheld the title Theotokos, the mother of God, for Mary. Nestorius rejected this, arguing that Mary only gave birth to Jesus' human nature. Two distinct natures of Jesus. According to Nestorius, Jesus' human and divine aspects were separate. The Church, however, maintained that these two natures were indivisible. Differences in the concept of salvation. Nestorianism emphasized salvation through Jesus' human nature rather than direct union with the divine. These ideas were seen as a major threat to the Roman and Byzantine Church. Particularly, Nestorius' rejection of Mary as the Mother of God was deemed unacceptable. Consequently, at the Council of Ephesus in 431, Nestorianism was declared heretical, and Nestorius was exiled. The condemnation of Nestorianism was not only a religious matter, but also a political strategy of the Byzantine Empire. Political fragmentation in Byzantium. The Roman and Byzantine churches sought religious unity. Sects like Nestorianism threatened to cause internal divisions, weakening imperial authority. Persian Empire welcomes the Nestorians. Exiled Nestorians found refuge in the Persian Empire, where their presence was politically advantageous for the Persians, who were rivals of Byzantium. This led to the eastward migration of Nestorianism, where it flourished for a time, establishing churches in Mesopotamia, Central Asia, and even India. Though Nestorianism thrived in Persia and beyond, several factors contributed to its eventual decline. The rise of Islam and persecution. With the rise of Islam in the 7th century, Christian groups faced increasing pressure. While Nestorianism initially survived under Muslim rule, it gradually lost influence. Islamic expansion. Many Nestorian communities either converted to Islam or faced social and political marginalization. Decline in Nestorian church power. During the Abbasid Caliphate, Nestorians lost much of their influence. The Mongol invasions and the collapse of the Nestorian church. In the 13th century, Mongol invasions devastated many Nestorian communities. While some Mongol rulers initially favored Nestorians, their later conversion to Islam sealed the sect's fate. See assimilation into other Christian traditions. Over time, Nestorianism blended into other Eastern Christian traditions, particularly among Assyrians and some Syriac groups. Many Nestorians joined the Eastern Orthodox Church, or the Catholic Church, losing their distinct identity. Church suppression declared heretical at the Council of Ephesus. Nestorianism was banned in Byzantium. Political and religious exile expelled from the empire. Nestorians took refuge in Persia but remained vulnerable. Islamic dominance. After the 7th century, Nestorians faced increasing pressure under Islamic rule. Mongol invasions. The destruction of Nestorian communities in Central Asia weakened the sect. Assimilation into other churches. Over time, Nestorian beliefs faded into larger Christian traditions. A vanishing sect or an evolving tradition. Did Nestorianism truly vanish? Not entirely. Today, the Assyrian Church of the East and some Syriac Christian communities still retain traces of Nestorian teachings. However, as an independent movement, Nestorianism could not survive the combined pressures of religious suppression, exile, and cultural assimilation. The decline of Nestorianism serves as a reminder that religious history is shaped not just by theology, but also by political and cultural forces. Empires and churches dictate the rise and fall of doctrines, proving that faith is often intertwined with power struggles. In the later sections of the video, we will explore the lost sect of the Monophysites in detail. What are your thoughts on this? Why did the Monophysites disappear? The Monophysites were a Christian sect that believed Jesus had only one nature entirely divine. However, this doctrine was condemned as heretical at the Council of Chalcedon in 451 and was actively suppressed by the Byzantine Empire and the Roman Church. But why did the Monophysites vanish? The answer lay not just in theological disputes, but also in political interests, sectarian conflicts, and cultural transformations. At the Council of Chalcedon, the Church adopted diotheletism, the belief that Jesus had both a human and divine nature, inseparable yet distinct. The Monophysites, however, insisted that Jesus had only one nature. This clashed with the official beliefs of the Catholic and Orthodox churches. leading to their condemnation as heretics. Monophysite bishops were removed from their positions. Monophysite churches were shut down, and their followers faced persecution. The Monophysites were excluded from mainstream Christianity, weakening their influence. The Byzantine emperors saw monophysitism as a political threat. They believed that religious unity was crucial to maintaining imperial stability. Under Emperor Justinian I 527–565, Monophysite leaders were exiled. Monasteries were closed and their scriptures were burned. Despite this, Monophysitism remained strong in Egypt, Syria, and Armenia. The Byzantine Empire later attempted reconciliation, but these efforts failed, further isolating the Monophysites. The rise of Miaphysitism and radical factions. The Monophysite movement fractured over time. Miaphysitism emerged as a moderate version of Monophysitism, arguing that Christ's human and divine natures were united in an inseparable way. This became the foundation for the Armenian, Coptic, and Syriac Orthodox churches. Radical Monophysites rejected compromise, further fragmenting the movement and weakening its unity. These divisions contributed to the decline of Monophysitism as a major Christian force. In the 7th century, the rise of Islamic expansion reshaped the Middle East and North Africa. Many Monophysites welcomed Arab rule, hoping for relief from Byzantine oppression. However, over time, many Monophysite communities converted to Islam or became culturally assimilated into Muslim societies. In Egypt, the Coptic Christians managed to preserve their identity under Muslim rule, but their influence significantly declined. Monophysitism did not completely vanish. Today, its theological heritage lives on in the Armenian Apostolic Church, the Coptic Orthodox Church, the Syriac Orthodox Church. However, these churches no longer identify as Monophysite, but rather as Miaphysite, meaning they believe in one united nature of Christ, both divine and human. The disappearance of Monophysitism was not simply a result of theological condemnation. It was a complex process shaped by church persecution and doctrinal rejection, political suppression by the Byzantine Empire, internal divisions within the movement, Islamic expansion and cultural assimilation. Although the Monophysites as a distinct sect no longer exist, their theological legacy continues within Eastern Christian traditions. Were the Monophysites just one example of how heretical sects were erased? What other Christian movements faced a similar fate? So far, we have explored sects like the Gnostics, Arianism, Nestorianism, and the Monophysites. Why did these sects disappear? Why did the Church declare them heretical? Was it merely theological differences, or were there political schemes, power struggles, and deep ideological conflicts at play? If these sects had not been erased from history, what would Christianity look like today? Perhaps our understanding of faith would be entirely different. What do you think? Was the suppression of these sects justified, or was an alternative form of Christianity deliberately prevented from emerging? Share your thoughts in the comments. This video ends here, but the story of lost sects is far from over. In the next episode, we will examine the Bogomils, Cathars and Albigensians, Paulicians, Donatists, Adamites, and the Waldensians, sects that were wiped out from history. If you don't want to miss more deep and mysterious historical topics, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.